Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. This is not Uncle Silk. This is Dan.
And Delatorre.
Man, oh man, we've got an internet outage in Royal Palm Beach. So Silk will hopefully be joining us a little bit later today, but the show must go on. Nick, we got a big show. We're bringing on current Florida Gators running back Lorenzo Lingard, former Miami Hurricane. Excited to have him on. But Nick, before we do that, as usual, how was your weekend, my friend? Baseball seemed a little bit more enjoyable this weekend.
Baseball was more enjoyable this weekend. Minus, my goodness, our first. We'd gotten lucky. With rain. And I'm almost tempted not to even talk about it, but we have to talk about Saturday. Had gotten lucky with rain. Hadn't had many rain delays. Had a couple rain outs, but if you're not at the park suffering through it, it's fine. Saturday, game gets delayed 56 minutes, and then in the fourth inning of a 7-0 game, a 2-hour, 8-minute rain delay.
How long do they have to play before it counts? 6 innings, 7 innings?
You got to finish 5.
Finish 5. Okay.
So there's some people there that are like, hey, why don't we just call it and show up tomorrow? I go, because Kevin O'Sullivan's not giving up 7 runs. If they call it right now, you start tomorrow and you play 2 7-inning games on Sunday, and none of those 7 runs you scored count.
Right.
I was like, so they will start the game. I don't think they could have restarted after midnight. But if they could have restarted at 11:59, Kevin O'Sullivan would have restarted that game at 11:59. So 2-hour, 8-minute rain delay. I think I got to the park at 5 and the game ended at 12:15. And the next game started at noon the next day. Sunday did not go well. Florida loses on Sunday. But they get the series 2-1. And the Gators, I think, are at 8 wins. They need to get 5 more wins in their next 9 games to get to 13 wins, which is, I think, where they need to be to make the NCAA tournament.
Interesting. So what worked out for the Gators? Obviously, Kentucky's not nearly as good as some of the other teams that they've been playing recently, but what worked well for the Gators this weekend?
Yeah, I think first off, you got great pitching from Brandon Sproat. He finally gets a win. He's pitched really well, probably in his last 3 starts, but just for one reason or another, hadn't gotten the win or even had gotten a loss. He pitched really well. Brandon Neely, who's the freshman, pitched really well on Saturday. This kid, I think they ended up giving him the win. I don't know how that works because he was pitching when the rain started. So he'd only pitched, 4? He only pitched 4 innings, but they gave him the win. So it's his first win as a starter. He hadn't given up a hit in the first 4 innings. Had struck out a bunch of guys. Rain comes, and as you protect arms, you're not going to let him come back into the game after pitching 4 innings, and then you wait 2 hours through a rain delay. Quick way to get hurt is to, hey, go warm up and get back out there.
Nick, did they play a full game on Saturday? I'm sorry, I don't know if you mentioned that. Okay.
Yeah, Dan played a full game.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm because I was just looking up the winning and losing pitchers baseball rule, NCAA rule 1025. I'm sure you knew that. But no, that was interesting. For all games of 8 or more innings, the pitcher must pitch at least 5 complete innings to receive credit as a winning pitcher. For games fewer than 8 innings, the pitcher only needs to pitch 4. So
So I don't know why why or how he was credited with the win. Now in baseball, it happens a lot earlier on in the year. You can tell the umpire before the game, hey, he's on a pitch count. And the starting pitcher can pitch hey, he's only going to throw 38 pitches today, 40 pitches today. And he reached 40 pitches in the third, and the team's up 5-0. They win 5-1. And the starting pitcher, even though he hadn't pitched 5 innings, could get the win. So that wasn't the case with Brandon Neely. He was going to keep pitching. He had a no-hitter going through 4. If it doesn't rain, he's coming right back out there. So I don't know, but he was listed as the pitcher of record. I just didn't understand why, but good for him.
Yeah, trying to read through this a little bit more. Can't really see much. about weather. So
yeah, there's nothing about weather. It's supposed to be a tough luck.
Well, the Gators are back in a winning series. What does the schedule look like coming up?
The USF Bulls on Tuesday night.
And that's in Gainesville.
In Gainesville, and USF hasn't been in Gainesville, I think, since winning the Gainesville Regional.
Yeah, since your tweets, you get an extra security for the weekend or for the night.
Yeah, I actually won't be there. I have something else to do. Have an event. So won't be I will be in Gainesville. Won't be at the stadium. So sorry, USF fans. Someone else will be covering. Haven't looked at your team this year at all. I'm sure they're a great bunch of guys. Really, pretty good at baseball.
And then what comes up? What's the series this weekend?
And then Florida's at Missouri. So the toughest part about this weekend is getting to Missouri. Missouri, not a good baseball team. It's tough to win on the road, but the position Florida has put themselves in, like a sweep would have been great. Would have really helped you. You go into this road series against Missouri, and you need to win this series against Missouri. You have to get at least 2 wins, which will leave you needing 3 the rest of the way. But Missouri, I think, is in last place in the SEC in either conference or either division. Excuse me, last place. So you've got to get a win this week. Or excuse me, not Missouri. They're at Mississippi State. I jumped ahead a week.
Okay.
Jumped ahead a week. They're at Mississippi State this week. And Mississippi State is the defending national champion, but lost a bunch of players. They're not having a great season.
But still the defending national champions.
Still until someone else wins it. They're the defending national champions. They pulling up their record right now. So it's tough to win on the road. I think this is the series where you need to get one. Like, you can't get swept here. If you get swept here, then you need to sweep the next 2 series. Overall, right now, Mississippi State is 25-20, 9-12, and they're coming off of 2 losses to Missouri.
Okay.
They went to Missouri. They won on Friday night, and they lost on Saturday and lost on Sunday. They had just beaten Ole Miss, which was a great series win for them because Ole Miss can really hit the ball. So you don't get swept this week. If you can win the series, fantastic. If you get swept, you're in a lot of pain, a lot of trouble. The games this week also will be on SEC Network, regular TV, and ESPNU, regular TV. Friday and Saturday. Sunday is a streamer.
I will be sure to try to watch Saturday, Sunday, and Friday. My Tampa Bay Lightning are in the first round of the playoffs, so I'll be watching those games. But I'll be at the Sunday game, actually. So look for me. Let's hang out. But, Nick, we got Lorenzo waiting in the green room, ready to get started. So before we do that, let's give a shout-out to the title sponsor of Stadium and Gale, Alan Horn with Alan Horn Insurance. Alan is a State Farm agent in Jasper, Georgia, that specializes in auto, home, renters, life, business insurance, and retirement planning in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Check him out, Alan Horn, HORNE insurance.com, or give him a call at 706-692-2888, or follow him on Twitter and Instagram at SFAgentAlanH. And be sure to give him a call or reach out. Without further ado, thanks to our good friends over at the Gator Collective, we have the honor and privilege of speaking to Florida Gators running back Lorenzo Lingard, who looks like he's putting together a fishing pole.
He just got back from the honey hole. That's what he did.
I'm trying to find it.
Lorenzo, you've been in Gainesville long enough. Someone's got to put you on some game by now. You've got to have a spot.
And guess what? The only area is Lake Alice, and you can't fish there. But when they say no fishing, that's where the fish is at. So
that's probably why there's so much fishing, right? Or so much fish, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Lorenzo, thanks so much for coming on Stadium and Gale. I know the fans will be excited to hear you. I know a lot of people know your story. You were a 5-star running back coming out of high school, end up at the University of Miami, and then transfer to the University of Florida. But just kind of want to hear your story and your words of, what it was like being recruited and, committing to Miami and then ultimately getting recruited again and ending up at the University of Florida.
All right. So the whole process with going to Miami was I knew Coach Rick from eighth grade camp I went to. So from there, it was a great mesh. And, he went to Miami. So basically I felt like it was like a connection there. So from that point on, I decided to commit to Miami, even though I was favoring Ohio, but Ohio State was kind of far from home. So my dad was like, nah, just stay in state. So I went to Miami. I killed the off-season workouts and whatnot. Everything was going my way. Had a freak injury. And then from there, things got kind of shaky. Coach Rick got fired during that season. Then we had Diaz. And upon my rehab, I was coming back. I was about 95% back, and I wasn't seeing the field there. And then things didn't look so good amongst the energy there. So I decided to come back home with the hardship waiver because my dad's kidney disease. So I ended up being here, Florida, which was the best move. So yeah.
Lorenzo, I want to ask you about that freak injury because had you dealt with an injury before in your life or in your career at all, or
nope?
Was this your first major injury? So what was that like? Obviously the physical strain of rehab and everything else, but mentally, talk to us a little bit about kind of where your mentals were. You're in a new city, playing a new game, with a new team. What's going on in your head during those couple months of rehab and everything else?
Well, from the most part, I had a great team with me. My family, and a great physical therapist, Jeff Ruiz. I mean, he was like, it became personal with him because he wasn't there just for a paycheck. So, I mean, the work with him was from sun up, sun down. He was texting me, making sure that I was okay. Then I had family and friends texting me, making sure I was okay. But it was definitely a dark moment. I would say 2 months out, but from there, I would say Jeff, seeing the progress that me and Jeff had made every week, it just kept me motivated.
A lot of times, I think guys feel like ostracized almost because you're not out at practice, you're not doing the same things, and especially in your case, you had never had something that had prevented you from, being athletic or going and playing a sport. But you're saying, you kind of just focused in on what you could control, and it never got like you didn't feel like you weren't part of the team because you weren't able to go through practice or stuff like that.
Yeah, at one point, I mean, yeah, like during the stadium run, I was in the back of the line. I'm like, man, this sucks to be in the back of the line. And then a couple months after that, we had team run, and there was like, oh, you don't have to do the team run at Tropical Park in Miami. But man, I did all 15 110s, man. I ran with the team. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, but like definitely at that point, I was feeling like, okay, I'm not a part of the team, but through my hard work, they seeing that that I was physically and mentally there.
That's awesome, Lorenzo. So you decide to transfer to University of Florida, and I know some of that had to do with your dad's health and being close by, but what was it about Dan Mullen and Knox and the rest of the UF coaching staff at the time that ultimately convinced you that Florida is a place to be to continue your career?
So the phone call was like, basically, you're gonna have to come here, put in work, and me knowing that Florida is the school in Florida, and that it wasn't gonna be easy. So I'm like, man, coming off this injury, if I want to be the player that I want to be, then I'm gonna go to Florida. I'm gonna put in hard work. And whatever happens, happens. So, and I definitely think I'm a way better player than I would have been if I would have stayed at Miami.
So Lorenzo, you come into University of Florida. Yeah, you have to sit out a year. Highly recruited guy, out of high school, come to Florida with a lot of fanfare. And then when you come to UF, Florida has a pretty heavy stable of running backs, and you're kind of sitting at the back of the line, as Florida works through that. Then you ultimately get an opportunity this past year, and they relied very heavily on a running back rotation. So, for you, a guy that's used to toting the rock, what was that experience like trying to battle through that? And then, certainly probably some questions, at least in fans' minds, about, the running back rotation, everything else from last year.
So from last year, I mean, it was tough. So basically, I took my role as playing special teams, and I accepted that role. And to be honest, I liked it because it was something new. And a lot of guys get to the NFL, and sometimes they're not the guy, so they got to play special teams. And I'm actually thankful to be put in that position to learn different positions and whatnot, like kickoff, and then being a left center, right center on return, and things like that. So actually, it made me a better player versus just running kickoffs and kickoff returns and stuff like that. But then the stable we had here, I mean, it wasn't as bad because every day I was learning from Malik, I was learning from Laquan, I was learning from Damien. So every day, I'm watching those guys, seeing how they're playing, and and what they're doing to make them better, and then basically I'm learning from them.
That's awesome. So this is.
I was watching the draft, and I see Malik signs with Dallas, and I'm thinking, I go and I look at their roster, and I'm like, man, they've got 4 running backs under 26 years old. One of them is getting like $20 million a year. I was like, you better be ready to play special teams. Whatever they ask you on special teams, you better, because that's it's kind of like you said, like a lot of guys that get drafted or sign UDFA, you've been the man on your team, and you haven't had to run back. Hey, be on punt, or hey, you're on the hands team, or hey, you're left out, you're left center. That's how you make That's how you make the 53 in the NFL, is being able to play special teams and being able to fill in multiple roster spots for them.
Yeah, Malika definitely, I see him playing there. He's a great player. He's very smart and very strong too. Like people don't think he's that strong, but he's strong.
Lorenzo, I want to talk about, this team and this offseason. And obviously you guys have a coaching change. Billy Napier comes to Florida. You ultimately get a new running back coach in Jabbar Jalouk. What are some of the differences in coaching, between Greg Knox and Jabbar, and, certainly learning from Billy Napier compared to just Dan Mullen?
So the old staff, it was kind of like a robot system. Like, okay, do this, do that, do it this way, or just basically it made it seem like we had to be this almost like a puppet. But Coach Napier's crew, they let us be ourselves. And my whole deal with college was I was too fast. I was this, I was that. But Coach Luke was like, no, you're too slow right now. Speed up. And I was like, what? He's like, hit the hole. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that then. So yeah, it feels all natural to me now.
That's awesome. Lorenzo, would you say you're the fastest guy on the team right now?
Slow down. Wait, next coaching staff comes in like, hey,
fastest man.
Speed up, Hoss.
Not right now. I'm probably like top 5, but I would say number 1 would probably be Bowman up there. I ain't gonna lie. Bowman's up there. Weston's up there. Who else? Shorter's up there. Bean's up there. A lot of DBs. Trevez Johnson. We got Mordecai McDaniels is probably number 1, I would say.
That's one that would surprise fans. Now, let me tell you, this is before your time, but Gator fans will remember this. Dan was probably in school at Florida at the time. The way you win fans over is you guys just go out behind the dorms and you do a foot race out in the back streets. Who was that? It was Chris Rainey.
Yeah, Jeff Demps. I think Deontay Thompson was there too.
Jeff Demps was winning national championships with the track team, and Chris Rainey told him, "Yo, I'm faster than you." So they went out behind their dorm, and a bunch of the guys just ran a race. And we don't know the official winner and loser of that. Did Chris tell you guys he was on the pod, Dan?
I think Chris would tell you that he would beat Michael Johnson. He would beat Usain Bolt. I don't know if I can trust Chris.
But that story quickly became a fan favorite. And those football teams were winning too, man. So that was they were a competitive bunch.
Yeah, I like to watch their highlights.
Mm-hmm. I don't.
2.0.
Chris Rainey beat my high school team my sophomore, junior, and senior year in the state championship. So I don't like watching Chris Rainey's highlights anymore.
Wow.
Don't worry,
Just skip
Lorenzo.
over
Nick
those.
was not playing. Nick was not playing in those games.
He was a baseball player.
Yeah. So Lorenzo, a lot of excitement. I know fans are super excited to start to hear your name a lot more in that starting crew. Obviously, you had a good orange and blue debut. Gators add Montreal Johnson from Louisiana. DeMarcus Bowman is there. Naquan Wright is going to be coming back from injury. I think this is one of the groups that fans are most excited about, not only speed, but just, I guess, potential and opportunity from this group. What can fans kind of expect out of you this season and about your running back crew?
Out of me, they're going to get a lot of energy, a lot of effort. They're going to get some physicality out of me. And then I guess you could say they're going to see me encouraging my teammates. And as a stable and as a unit, we're going to do great things. Bowman's fast, very shifty. Naquan the same. And then we got Montreal, So basically, all the running backs going to do great things as a unit.
How much, if any, research did you do about Billy Napier? Because, one of the first things I did when his name popped up as a journalist, I'm looking and I'm like, dang, they have 4 guys carry the ball 100 times last year.
Exactly.
You look at that and you think like, hey, it doesn't matter if we got 5 in the room, like everyone's going to eat this year.
Exactly. So basically, so our coach, he caught up a couple of his guys and asked them if their system works and if they not had them, would they be where they're at today? And those guys were up and down and basically put their life on it that if Coach Napier and his staff wasn't there, that they wouldn't be nearly as focused and productive as they were to be where they are in life right now.
Have you seen that yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Lorenzo, I think a lot of fans are still curious what the offense that Billy Napier is going to run. And obviously there's still a season ahead for us to kind of look into that. But, obviously you had Dan Mullen, you were there with Kyle Trask and Felipe Franks. You were then there with Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. And now it's Anthony Richardson's, opportunity to lead the team. But what kind of offense can Gator fans expect under Billy Napier?
They can see a lot of, basically everything. It depends on what's open, If the run game is there, it's there. Then if that's not there, then the passing game. But it kind of corresponds with each other. So the pass is going to be there if the run is there. So or the run game going to be there, and that opens up the pass game. So it's going to be a little bit of everything.
Lorenzo, I guess my final question for you is obviously you had the opportunity to be there under Kyle Trask, and then last year Florida moves to a little bit more RPO and a 2 quarterback system where the quarterback is running a little bit more. What's it like as a running back being a part of an offense where the quarterback is maybe a little bit less mobile compared to one where quarterbacks are choosing to run a bit more? What's that like as a running back? And I guess how does that make you feel too as a running back as well?
So is as a running back, it's whatever would help the team win. So if the quarterback got to pull the ball 1,000 times because it's there and we're going to win, okay, do it. But he might mess up here and there, like make the wrong read and pull the ball. But AR-15, he gonna get 10 yards of carry. You feel me? So either way, whatever helps the team is what we're gonna do. And I can't be mad about that.
I love it, Nick.
Has your perspective on that changed maybe as you've gotten older, or as you've been in college? Because it seems to me like a mature perspective. It's like, hey, listen, I'm not going to get looked at by the NFL if I'm not getting carries. And it seems to me like you're just kind of like, listen, whatever's going to help the team. If that means I'm carrying the ball 5 times a game, but I'm playing special teams and making an impact and we're winning, then I'm cool with that. I just want to know when you kind of grew into that mindset. Because to me, it seems, a pretty mature mindset to have.
I'll say when I first got here, seeing how important special teams was and seeing how different players took it serious, I'm like, okay. And basically coming here, it was either me and this other player to get the left guard or left center position on kickoff return. I'm like, man, if I mess up on this route, coach gonna take me out. You know, I'm not gonna be in there. So like it was that important to me to stay on the field on kickoff and kick return. So basically, whatever helps the team win and whatever helps me stay engaged in the game and keep my love for the game, I'll do it.
What was when Billy came in? Obviously, you're an older guy. You have to kind of get the older guys to buy in. What was his message to you guys right away to get you guys to buy in? Because I mean, there's especially with the transfer portal now, guys can just leave. You know, this isn't the coach I signed up with. This isn't the coach I committed to. I'm going to bounce. It seems like there haven't been many transfers, and guys guys did buy in. What was his message to you to get you guys to stay and to buy into his system?
I would say the he told us to trust it, you know, and his demeanor when he told us, his staff that came along, they weren't boastful. They didn't have no kind of cockiness to them. Like they were all sincere. They were all one as a unit. And even the coaches that came from different schools with him, they seemed to be almost acting like they were with him from the start. And then basically the direct changes he made, nutrition, he's able to get guys and better housing, and the amount of Bull Gators who supported him of whatnot, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's gonna do the right thing. And then from day one of spring practice, the messages he had around us, the messages he had after practice, just saying, and one that stood out to me was after practice, he said, keep negative people around you. Or not around you, but keep negative people away from you. I don't like negative people. And when he said that, I'm like, yeah, you know, I can trust him because he doesn't like negative people. He don't like bad energy around him. And, you know, some coaches can be negative themselves, but with that staff, you don't see it at all.
That's awesome.
If you can real quick, take me inside the IPF during phase 2. AR told us in spring practice, he said, man, I'm glad that I was coming back from that knee injury, watching them boys run and do all that stuff because I'm glad I couldn't do all of it. Take me inside. But you're a workout guy. You like lifting, you like getting your plyos in. But take me into the IPF. What was phase 2 identity like?
So for the most part, no water. Like we don't get water until halftime. So so kind of like coming from having water like every other rep or whatnot, and then having no water at all, it's just it kind of makes you focus on getting the job done rather than, oh, okay, I'm tired, let me get some sip, or okay, next rep I'll get water. Like no, like you got a task in front of you and you got to do it. But running those striders and 110s for 10 reps without no water, man, it's tough. It's tough, but like, you know, they encourage us and mold us to keep fighting, to keep pushing.
Nick, how many 110s do you think you could run without water?
One.
I'm gonna go with 2. Oh, okay.
I think I could really push myself and get through halfway through my third.
Okay.
Before quitting.
Yeah, so about 400 total yards, maybe.
I've almost finished my water bottle just talking for 28 minutes on the show.
Oh man, Nick, sorry, that's your question.
That's interesting though, because it's like, listen, every football team's going to run striders, you're going to run 110s, you're going to run gassers, but it seems like they're trying to. The water thing is more of a mental thing, and it seems to have worked on you. It's saying like, I'm not focused on when am I going to get my next sip of water. It's like, hey, I've got to get through this next rep, or with this next exercise, or this next drill station. There is no water coming, so focus on what you have in front of you.
Exactly.
How'd the big men do with no water?
Like the first 2 were kind of shaky, but then they were like us. They're like the skills is just running. So yeah, they will be in shape. Well, actually, they are in shape after that.
Oh, shout out to the offensive linemen. Shout out to Des Watson. Shout out to the big guys running those 110s with no water, man. That's rough.
Yeah, Des made big improvements, man. Big improvements.
I've been joking. I said they need to have him and Corey Collier trade plates. Like, Dez, go get what you want for dinner. Corey, get what you want for dinner, and then you just you switch plates.
Yeah,
someone will gain weight, someone will lose weight, but yeah, it was interesting. We didn't really know like kind of what went into the identity phase, and now what do they call this phase? It's discrepancy.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of just like, hey, do what you want. This is your free time, because when you come back, it's gearing up for fall camp, and then when fall camp starts, you're in season.
All right, exactly.
Lorenzo, I do want to ask. Obviously, you've been, in college, during a time where we've seen a seismic shift in name, image, and likeness, and you've had the opportunity to make some money off of your name, image, and likeness. What's that experience been like as we approach the 1 year mark? With NIL and the opportunities that you've been afforded, and kind of what's the player's perspective of NIL? There's a lot of outside noise and a lot of outside voices kind of opining on it, but what are your thoughts?
So basically my thoughts on it was, okay, I don't know if this is going to be legit or whatnot. I don't know, the foundation behind it. And at first things were shaky, companies were shaky, brands were shaky because, we didn't know. And now things are picking up. And I think there's a point where you have to focus on NIL for a certain period. And then there's a time where, okay, NIL going to take care of itself. Let's get back to work. Let's grind. So right now, with this time that I have off, I'm going to incorporate some focus on NIL. But when things get back up, it's going to take care of itself. Like, I'm not going to focus on, streaming or podcasts or whatnot, because, I have to grind myself. And there's no bigger NIL deal than the season itself. So, yeah.
I love that. I do want to ask, I know when we've heard Billy Napier talk, and we saw him a couple of weeks ago here in Tampa, he mentioned not only just NIL being able to be, offered to you in terms of monetary compensation, but talked a lot about the Gator Made program and what they're trying to do to prepare you for life, whether it be with NIL deals or life after football. What's the Gator Made program kind of meant to you, or have you been able to be the benefactor of much of that work that they've done yet with Marcus and Savannah and Billy?
Oh yeah, so like from what I've seen from them is they've been trying to embed a lot of things with us. So we had a guy from Twitter come, we had people from Wells Fargo come, just embed on saving and brand marketing and stuff like that. And a couple of our guys had a chance to go to Greece, I would want to say, just to experience. I think they're there right now, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, they're about to be there. So, a couple of guys gone to Greece, experience, how things work on the other side of the country. So it's definitely great.
That's awesome.
What kind of taxes are they helping you with? Because I'll tell you, I was 1099 for a while, and boy, Uncle Sam's gonna get his hands on some of that NIL money that comes. And the first time I did my taxes, I was like, woo.
Yeah, so basically they have a form set up with us already. So everything that's being pushed through NIL, they track everything, and then they pretty much send out a form to us, and we just fill it out.
Because that $5,000 check isn't $5,000. I'll tell you that right now. you ain't getting your hands on all that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Lorenzo, man, it was an absolute pleasure getting to know you. We certainly wish you the best this season. I know Gator Nation's really rooting for you. You have a hell of a story.
Oh, wait, we didn't ask Silk's question.
Oh, yeah. So we're missing our third co-host this week, Lorenzo. He's having some internet issues. So, Nick, do the honors.
Silk asks everyone that we get on, every player we get on, who has the best hands on the team?
Ooh. I like Henderson.
We're not talking about catching football.
Yeah, we're not talking about catching footballs.
Oh, fight-wise.
Yeah. Who's got the best hands on the team?
Probably be like big guy, Dexter. Yeah, Dexter Swift with it. He's quick. Linebacker-wise, Ventrell.
That's not surprising.
Running back-wise, probably myself. I did a couple.
Okay.
I did some boxing last year.
We need a pound for pound. Who's the pound for pound champ in the locker room?
If not Brandon Cox, probably Dexter. Yeah, like
like
those two. Yeah.
Depends on what day you catch them.
Yeah.
what day you catch these hands. Oh, man. Well, Lorenzo, we always give everybody the opportunity to shout out. I know you're doing a lot on social media, but so tell everybody where they can follow you on social media.
They can follow me at D1Champ99 Twitter and Lorenzo Lingard for Instagram.
It's awesome. Well, Lorenzo, thank you so much, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Wish you the best of luck next season, and hopefully have you on again in the future.
Oh yeah, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you guys learned about me and whatnot. So what got you guys started into doing this?
Oh man. So Stadium and Gale, we've been doing this for almost 3 years. It was me, Corey, who's the other one missing, and then Ahmad Black. So we thought that there needed to be a kind of a different voice in the Gators podcast arena. There was a lot of opportunities for all of us, and we put some ideas together. And our goal, Lorenzo, was always to try to get the best interviews. Right? We wanted to get the players that people maybe had heard of or maybe had forgotten about. We want to get former coaches. We wanted to get current coaches. We wanted to get administrative folks. We care a lot about content, right? So we want to talk about the game. We want to talk about, the numbers and breaking down each game, whether it be baseball or football or basketball. But we really wanted to get some different voices from people that played the game. So we've been doing this for almost 3 years. Ahmad was with us for about 2, and then life, as it happens, he departed, and Nick was a guy that we had on the show a lot as a guest, as a writer for the Gators program, and Nick was able to slide into that seat, and Nick's done a fantastic job. But my background, man, when I went to UF from 2006 to 2010, I got to work in the football recruiting office for all 4 of those years, which was a really cool honor. So I've always been, really close to the program, and to get the opportunity each and every week to talk about the Gators is truly an honor and a blessing.
Okay.
And I went to school for journalism. I was on the Ventura Miller plan. It took me 6 years, but I graduated. I got out. When I got into journalism, I thought it was just all like washed up athletes, and like that's okay. Well, I was a baseball player, played in college, and I was like, oh, it'll probably just be a bunch of former athletes. I got there, and kid sitting next to me was like the editor of his high school newspaper. I'm like, oh, I'm way behind. I need to figure this out. So graduated, and I got a job right away covering Florida for a company called Gator Country. And we actually had to beg back in 2013, had to beg them to allow us to podcast because like it wasn't podcasting wasn't big at the time. But I listened to Joe Rogan I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast. I was like, listen, this is big. Let us start a podcast. So we started that podcast, and we did it for 8 years. And I moved companies, so I was able to start a new one and jumped on with these guys.
Okay, that sounds good.
Well, Lorenzo, again, man, I appreciate your time this evening. I know you got a lot on your plate and a lot to do, but definitely appreciate it. Look forward to having you on again in the future, my friend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Good luck this year, buddy.
Thank you.
Nick, I think that is the first time and maybe the last time we'll ever get asked why we did this. Man, that was a hell of an interview.
Maybe really he started a new wave. Maybe we'll get questions right away. You had the stadium. It's like you've done that before.
No, that was totally
straight from the heart.
Yeah, straight from the heart, right? Just pulled that one out. Was trying to piece together sentences in my mind as I got there, but ultimately, just this is a passion project, Nick. Right? I mean, none of us do this to get rich. None of us do this to, be able to shock or change the world or do anything like that. I mean, when Ahmad, Corey, and I first talked about it, the goal was, honestly, to just talk up the Florida Gators with other people that cared about the Florida Gators, right? We didn't want to take listenership from other podcasts. We don't want people to, to turn away from doing anything else. We just wanted the 3 of us to chat about the Florida Gators, right? And, with Ahmad obviously being connected to the team and then myself, having some connections, we were able to build it up. And I don't think anybody thought we'd have the success that we did, right off the bat. And to be able to continue to do this for, almost every week for 3 years is incredible, and definitely not something that I ever thought we would do. But through the pandemic, through some winning seasons, through some losing seasons, we're back at it, man. So it's being able to talk to guys like Lorenzo that makes this a really cool journey and a really cool opportunity. So
you were just Dylon Thompson right there. One
That's
of the
right.
5 greatest spitters of all time.
That's right. I'm like Twista. I got to figure out. Twista is definitely not a top 5 spitter. He is a top 5 speed rapper, but no. I think I got T.I. as my number 1. But Wheezy maybe number 2. I'm sure the internet will love these takes. Right?
Keep them coming, Dan. I'm going to sit on the sideline here, but you can go ahead and keep your best rappers of all time coming.
Yeah, I got Outkast probably 3. That's. I'll just go with the top 3 right now.
We're coward. Top 3 right now. You use the 1 week where Silk doesn't have internet to get these takes off.
Right? Maybe Lil Baby's in there. Who knows? Maybe he's climbing the charts. You know, maybe
young
not there yet. Maybe he will. Who else we got? A lot of big names. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, my rap knowledge and rap history, to the most part, stops probably around 2012, because rap got real weird then. I know it's back, but yeah. So, well, Nick, a lot to talk about the NFL draft. Want to talk about a bunch of other things in Gator sports. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout if you are looking for the best vintage clothing for the University of Florida, for about 40 other schools right now. They are dropping a new line each week in the next couple of days, up until their big new Saturday launch, where they got some big schools for you, the fan, for maybe not for yourself, but maybe for a friend, family member, whoever it might be. Check them out, homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale. Nick, I know that you're busy with baseball, but I also know that you're paying attention to the NFL draft. Kaiir Elam goes in the first round. I know that we talked a lot about him potentially being a first round guy, but there were some mock drafts that had him in the second round. But he ultimately joins what I think is a perfect opportunity for him in Buffalo. But Nick, what were your thoughts on Kaiir Elam going to the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna get tested. He's gonna be the rookie. It's funny because all last year and leading up to last year, we're thinking, man, whoever starts across from Kaiir Elam's gonna get tested. But now, it's you're the rookie, and you got Trey White, I think is his name, on the other side. So
yep,
you're gonna get tested. That's a great situation to be in. He's not gonna back down from a challenge like that. He's going to love finally getting balls thrown his way. And as much as it pains me, and I'm sure you, to say, the Bills are the cream of the crop in the AFC East. Like, you're gonna be a division champ. It's not gonna be Miami. It's certainly not gonna be the Jets, who I think had a great draft too.
They did.
So other than living in Buffalo and dealing with a 9-month winter, you're gonna have a great opportunity to start from day one, and to be on a team that has a chance to make a run at a Super Bowl.
Not that I think that Kaiir Elam would be the type of guy to get caught up in a big city, or get caught up by some of the outside noise of maybe a New Orleans or New York City or a Los Angeles, right? But going to a place like Buffalo, where for about 8 months out of the year, all you can really do is be inside and work out and study film, maybe go get some chicken wings. Like, that's a place that you can go and work towards that second contract. But Buffalo is stacked. They're a great team. They've got a good defense, and to be able to plug into that hole that they were missing at defensive back, I think that he's going to have a huge opportunity for himself. So shout out to Kaiir. I think he landed in the perfect spot.
And one of the most impressive things to me, I think Buffalo released the video in Indy when they did the combine. Kaiir came with his notebook, which looked like it was about 1.5 inches thick. And he said, "Hey, this is my notebook. I don't know if you guys want to see it or not, but I take notes on everything. What I did in the game, what we did in the game, what worked, what didn't work. Notes on a rep that I lost in the game, even if the ball wasn't thrown that way. What did the receiver do that caused me to lose that rep?" And then the other thing, fighting back tears, and I love seeing those guys get those calls, whether it's the first round or the 7th round. I love seeing guys get calls. But through tears, he's shouting at either the GM or the owner of the Bills, "Make sure the playbook's on the plane.
Yeah.
Put the playbook on the plane." And sure enough, the Kaiir Elam tweets out a picture later. He's got the Buffalo Bills playbook on the plane. He's already going through cut-ups and looking at the defense. So I'm sure Buffalo was excited about the pick and then thinks, okay, we nailed it. Once the guy who you just picked 23rd overall is telling you, like, hey, put the playbook the plane you're sending to come and get me, put the playbook on the plane even before I get there and do, the jersey photo shoot and all that stuff. Like, let me get to work before I even get to Buffalo.
That's right. And then I know that he went to a Buffalo Sabres game. That's the hockey team there, Nick. Buffalo Sabres game. Got a standing ovation. So shout out to him. Really great story.
As much as we don't like the Bills, that's a very loyal and fervent fan base. They love
Bills Mafia.
They love their players. Well, it's more than just jumping through tables, Dan.
It's not much more. But they got themselves a hell of a player.
I'm gonna make a note of that, Cam. Whenever Katie Turner comes on the show, that Dan says the Buffalo Bills fan base and Bills Mafia is not much more than jumping through flaming tables.
Listen,
it's
not personal. It's not personal. It's not. I'm not attacking Bills fans or anything else. Like, you have fans, you have loyal fans. I'm a fan of the Dolphins, right? The Dolphins have been about as mediocre of a franchise in my 34 years of life, especially in the 22 years since Dan Marino retired, right? Like, we're the definition of mediocrity. Loyal, very loyal fan base in Miami. We're very different than the Bills Mafia. We're not jumping through tables. That, to me, is you're loyal, but also you go above and beyond, which is kind of what I said about the Bills. Not much more, but they do jump through tables.
It's a lot of alphabet soup there, Dan.
They made it to the Super Bowl. Like, in their lifetime, well, in my lifetime, I've seen the Bills make like 4 Super Bowls. I've seen the Dolphins make the playoffs like 4 times in my life
and get blown out. As soon as we make the playoffs, we get blown out.
We got blown out by the city of Jacksonville. Jeez, talk about a dagger.
Tough scene.
Salt in the wound, right?
Tough scene,
especially for me. Oh, man, please. No cursing on the show, Nick. The Kyer Elam joined CJ Henderson and Vernon Hargreaves as the third Gator cornerback to go in the first round in the last 7 seasons. So certainly we wish him the best of luck. And Nick, like you said, he is going to be opposite Tre'Davious White, who is a 2-time Pro Bowler. Next off the draft board, I don't know if any of us anticipated this being the second guy off. I think a lot of us had talked about this being the third guy. But Zachary Carter, defensive end, defensive tackle, will be heading to Cincinnati with pick 95 in round 3. Zach Carter also had a really great video that was shared when he got the phone call from Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Really cool to see Zach Carter, a guy that super versatile, obviously played a lot of positions at the University of Florida and absolutely has the opportunity in Cincinnati to probably be a really good contributing second team guy in a number of different positions. But what were your thoughts on Zach Carter going to Cincinnati? Again, a great team to go to.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, now that I've been I think, like Quincy Wilson was the first one that Quincy Wilson, Duke Dawson, those guys was the first one that I knew when they were in high school. And then you watch their whole career play out. And now to see them in the NFL is really cool. Zach is another one on that list. I've known him since he was in Hillsborough and back in Tampa. And he's just been a great dude. And he's done whatever has been asked of him, whether that's playing defensive end, defensive tackle. I think he's played some nose tackle.
Yeah, I think he played all 4 positions.
He's just whatever was asked of him to do to help the team, he did. And that might hurt you. It might hurt you because you don't really get to master one thing. But like we were talking with Lorenzo earlier, it's like, hey, if you can fill a bunch of roster spots, like Trey Burton has made it so long in the league because he was the emergency quarterback. He was a guy that could play all 4 special teams. He was a tight end. You could throw him into the slot if you needed to. He filled a bunch of roster spots, and Zach Thomas and Zach will do that. He will fill a bunch of different spots for them, and he can be versatile and play a bunch of spots on the defensive line. I definitely see him. Obviously, getting picked where he was, making the team, and he can make an impact in Cincinnati for sure.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine that's probably the biggest Cincinnati Bengals fan in the world, and he asked me what my thoughts. Yeah, I mean, it's wild, but I'm also a fan of Skyline Chili, Nick. So if you hold your thoughts on him. I did see Zach Carter's mentions getting blown up by people that were either pro Skyline or anti Skyline Chili. It was a hell of a debate.
There's no gray takes on Skyline Chili. It's black or white, and people are entrenched. It's right and wrong, really. The people who don't like it, like myself, we're on the right side of history, and we are dug in. And the people who do like it, I just don't know what their taste buds are telling them.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I've had Skyline Chili twice. I had it a second time because they're like, get the right thing. So I got the right thing the second time, and it was just as bad as the first time.
What was the right thing? What's the right thing at Skyline Chili?
Like the 7-layer one or whatever. I think the first time I only got a couple of layers. I don't even totally remember. It was back in 2011. It was back when I used to travel for work. I went to one in Oxford, Ohio, when I was doing work in the consulting space and higher ed. I was in Oxford, working with Miami University up there. I went to Skyline because it's right on their little Main Street area, and I just grabbed whatever it was off the menu. Right, it was average at best. And then I went to Cincinnati, and I told people, they're like, "Oh, you're going to go check out Skyline?" I said, "I really hadn't planned out." They're like, "You have to go. You have to get the 7-way or whatever it is." And I got that, and I'm pretty sure I ate about a quarter of it. And I'm like, this just isn't, it's not for me. It's not for really anybody, to be honest with you. Surprised they're still in business. Surprised they have a following. If you disagree with our takes on Skyline Chili, that's okay. That's okay. You're wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna add you're wrong.
Yeah. Dameon Pierce goes pick 107, round 4, to the Houston Texans. Interesting pick there. Certainly
huge opportunity there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you look at the roster of the Houston Texans, I know they added Marlon Mack, but the Texans really don't have a ton of great running backs or proven running backs, for that role. And I know a lot of people thought that for value, Dameon Pierce was one of the best picks in the draft.
For sure. I thought that Damien's been one of our favorite players to talk to. He's got a quote about anything. This is a guy, I think it was his sophomore year. We're in a post game. He had a good game. Florida won. And somehow we started talking about him hunting hogs back up in Georgia. And we're like, oh, like that's weird that you would give kids like guns to go and hunt hogs. It's like, no, we had pocket knives. I'm like, what? You're chasing hogs at like 8 years old, 9 years old with a knife, a hog with like a tusk, and we went out and did that for fun. I'm like, that's wild. Okay, that's we are cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, we are two different types of people, and two very different types of people.
But Damien's a guy that I'd have to go back and look how many times he carried the ball in high school. But a guy that doesn't have a ton of tread on the tires. That's something I always talk about with running backs when it comes to the NFL. Doesn't have a ton of wear. In college football, he carried the ball 100 times last year. But I think what really impressed NFL teams was his week in Mobile. And I love the Senior Bowl for what it gives guys who have played 4 years. Sometimes the guys who come out early are the sexy pick, and they're the ones that get talked about and considered the best guys. The Senior Bowl really gives players a chance to work out in front of every single NFL team, work very closely with one NFL coaching staff, because they have two coaching staffs coach the North and the South. I think Damien's pass blocking is something that we didn't talk enough about, and he completely got transformed his total package game, being able to go and become one of the best pass blockers, I think, in the SEC. And he was just stoning guys in pass pro all week in Mobile. So I think that's something that the NFL will look for. Obviously, the league is going pass first. And I think Jabbar Jalouk will tell you, Greg Knox told us, every running backs coach I told you said, hey, listen, if you can't protect the quarterback, you can't carry the ball for me. So that's, above and beyond what guys have to do.
Yeah, no, I really like Dameon Pierce's opportunity there in Houston. And I think that he's the type of guy that's going to, work as hard as he can and try to outwork the people that might be above him. But I think of any place that he could have landed with an opportunity to really come in and contribute, even as a fourth rounder, I think that Houston is the place that you want to be. And, I'm super excited to see him, won't be too far from family there in Houston, has a big opportunity, like I said. So we'll be good to watch and to root on Dameon Pierce with the Houston Texans. That ends it. The Gators end with just 3 draft picks in this year's class. I think Jeremiah Moon, who we'll talk about here in a second, was probably the only other guy that we anticipated potentially getting drafted. But 3 picks. Nick, are you surprised that it was only 3, or do you think that that's about right?
No, I think like you said, I think Jeremiah Moon could have been picked. I didn't really anticipate any more than 4 though. And in Moon's case, and in really anyone's case, when you get down to the 7th round, it's probably better that you get to pick your team rather than have a team pick you. You and your agent can look at the roster, who they have, what's the scheme, because you might get pulled in to a roster as a 7th round pick and like, hey, we just took a flyer on you.
Right.
You've had some injury history, but we're going to see if you can cut it. And it's a tough way to make a roster as a 7th round pick. It's also tough as an undrafted free agent, but you can kind of pick your spot. So Jeremiah Moon picks Baltimore. Is that right?
Yep. You got heading to Baltimore.
Jeremiah Moon picks Baltimore. Florida had a couple. I'm looking for my story.
Yeah, no, that's well. I've got him pulled up here.
Okay.
Excited to see Jeremiah Moon, see what he can do. Obviously, got bit by the injury bug. I think 3 season-ending injuries for Jeremiah Moon. Definitely rooting for him, right? I mean, he's the type of guy that hopefully can fight through. There is a chance, for him to make that roster. The Ravens are good and have a decent defense. Made some big changes. New defensive coordinator, I believe, over there this year. Made some offseason moves that could open up an opportunity for Jeremiah Moon. Obviously, a guy that also played special teams during his time at Florida, and maybe that's an opportunity to make the roster as well, or maybe even a practice roster, right? There's a lot of, certainly opportunity for Jeremiah Moon. And like you said, Nick, if you're getting drafted in the 7th round, it's probably best for you to be an undrafted free agent. Now, I know that there's some money differences and things of that nature, but at the end of the day, for him, it might be an opportunity for him to go and find the best roster spot for him. And, I think that Baltimore is certainly a place that's known for their great defenses, and hopefully he gets the chance to make an impact there.
Yeah, interesting spot for him. Another interesting note. There is no limit on what you can pay undrafted free agents.
Mm-hmm.
There's no that's not involved in there's no salary cap for that. I think I was reading Omar Kelly and the Dolphins signed a couple guys last year. This is during the draft when I was reading this. A couple guys last year for $100,000. And that's their signing bonus. So that's guaranteed money stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad payday. And then you make a roster, and then if you make the roster, then you're a minimum guy, which is $500,000. Nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, no, not too bad. No, I would imagine Jeremiah, especially being one of the first names that I saw of any player undrafted, picking up a spot. I'm sure there's some guaranteed money in there for him. But we'll see, and we're going to certainly root him on. Nick, I do want to talk about the rest of the undrafted free agents. Before we do that, do want to send everybody on their way to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM when you check out if you're looking for the best vacuum-sealed cupware in all of the game. Please check out GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM for 10% off of your order. University of Florida things, about 350 schools, NFLPA, golf, whatever your interest might be, go check out GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use one this weekend when I was at the beach, and then used it again at the pool yesterday. And ice was still there. Kept the drink cold, rock solid. You can fling it around. It's going to keep its integrity. It's not going to break. GameTimeSidekicks.com. Promo code STADIUM. Nick, after Jeremiah Moon, we get into some other signings. We got Tyron Truesdale to the New York Giants. We have Antonio Valentino also to the New York Giants. We have Malik Davis, who we mentioned before, signing with the Dallas Cowboys. And we have Gene DeLance heading to the Chicago Bears. So still a few other names that are out there. I know Rick Wells' name is still out there, and I feel like I'm forgetting.
I don't know that Rick is.
Reese.
I don't know that Rick is intending on playing football. He no-showed the pro day.
Oh wow, okay.
Wasn't that pro day? I don't know if I hadn't been able to get Rick on the phone. I don't know what's going on with him, but I know he graduated from the University of Florida, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. But yeah, once he wasn't there at pro day and talking to some people, Florida was expecting him to be there. And he didn't show up, didn't work out. So I don't know if Rick Wells is pursuing football as a career.
Okay. Well, certainly best of luck to Rick, whatever he does decide to do. But Stuart Reese is still a guy that might be getting his name called. Certainly a guy that had a bit of an up and down career. A little bit surprised, to be honest with you. I know that at Mississippi State, he was probably a little bit more well regarded than his time at Florida. But I thought during his senior year, while certainly wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, did think that he made some pretty big improvements from that junior year. And who knows, we still could potentially see him land maybe a tryout spot or a spot as an undrafted free agent. We are only a couple days outside of the draft, but certainly best of luck to everybody that made undrafted free agent list. That's certainly an honor in and of itself. Nick, any final words on the NFL draft before we move on?
Love the draft. Would have loved to have been out there in Las Vegas. I don't think my body's ready for another Vegas trip, however.
Nick,
we did have the one podcast where I was doing it from the Centurion Lounge with not even half a voice.
Yeah.
Not even half a voice.
Yeah, Nick, I think I told you, but I'm heading out to Vegas next Wednesday. And I'll be in Vegas from Wednesday to Sunday, which in my opinion is at least one, if not a day and a half too long to be in Vegas. Unfortunately, fortunately for my friends, they're there for a wedding. Unfortunately, the wedding is on Friday, but there's an event that we have to be at on Thursday. So flights out there on Thursday were a little dicey. So I had to make the decision to go out on Wednesday. I have no doubt in my mind that my body is going to be hurting. My voice will be hurting.
5 days in Vegas?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I would say max, judging from my own experience, we did 4. I think 3 would have been plenty.
Yeah. I've always said 3 nights, 2 days. That's peak Vegas, right? You get the opportunity to catch a show. If you want to do the DJ thing, you can do that. Casino hopping, pool party, whatever you might want to do. 3 nights, 2 days is perfect Vegas time. Me being out there for 5 days is going to be a recipe for near-death experiences.
Yeah, I think I flew out Friday, first flight out. So I landed in Vegas at like 9 a.m. So I had all Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and we flew out on Monday. I had the red eye Monday. So no like drinking or shenanigans Monday, knowing that I had to be on the podcast Monday.
Right.
But yeah, that was 4 days, 5 nights, whatever it was, 4 days, 4 nights. That it was a toll.
Yeah, I'm not. I am looking forward to it, but I am not looking forward to the recovery that's going to come because of that.
I think you're a week on the IR.
Yeah, I mean at 34, I think each year past 30 adds at least 6 more hours on the IR compared to where you normally would be. So I am totally anticipating a Monday rough showing by yours truly, but we're gonna do our best. We are going to do our best. With that being said, the Gators did have a preferred walk-on from Temple. He was a preferred walk-on at Temple in 2019. Kenneth and he.
Go ahead, Dan.
And he. Am I close?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you struggle through that. without me.
Yeah. So Kenneth from Temple will be
Kenny.
our good pal Kenny will be joining. He
If you know him, we call him
fits,
K-Dog.
he fits into one of those 50 or so walk-ons that Billy Napier wanted to have as a part of his program. So welcome, Kenny, to the team. Nick, right now, I think last week we talked a little bit about it, but we talked, I guess, pretty extensively, actually, that Florida is above the number of scholarships that they're allowed to have going in to fall, right around 90. Billy Napier has said multiple times, I believe at every stop he's been at, that he is going to be aggressive in the transfer portal as well. Players had until 11:59 on May 1st to enter the transfer portal, and then school are to announce their intentions, to their school that they'll be entering the transfer portal. And then the school had up until May 3rd. Well, listeners will be listening to this on May 3rd. And right now, Nick, we've not heard any word of any player at the University of Florida outside of the ones that have already been announced entering the transfer portal. Does this surprise and shock you?
Yeah. So I think Florida went into fall. I should have saved my old one. I think Florida went into fall with 93, 94. Obviously, Emory Jones transfers. You get an injury. But when Billy Napier says we are going to be very aggressive in the transfer portal, and I kept saying, like, you're going to see transfers left, right, and center from programs like Florida that have a new staff and guys that, hey, I tried it out. It's not for me. And there's a bunch of guys that graduated that could grad transfer. I don't think you need to be in the transfer portal. Like a Jordan Pouncey just graduated.
Right.
Does he want to go somewhere and play his last year? He's on scholarship. He's part of the 90 that I have on scholarship. Marco Ortiz. I don't think they want Marco Ortiz to go anywhere. He just graduated as well. So there's guys, that I thought might not be in line for a bunch of playing time. I know there's at least two guys that I know of that were going to go into the transfer portal and were asked to stay and did decide to stay. So there's, it doesn't matter that Florida's over the 85. You have to get down to 85 before fall camp starts. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we want to pontificate right now who those guys are. Probably wait till Silk comes and he can kick guys off the team. But the breakdown I have, I think, is accurate. So you've got 90 guys. You need to be at 85 before fall camp. So you need to be at 80 in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that I'm very surprised. Obviously, there's grad transfers, and having that extra year, that COVID year, probably allows for some more graduations than you would historically have. During this time, maybe there's going to be a bunch of players that do decide to transfer. Obviously, Florida's going to be in a position where they're going to have to let folks go at some point. I am surprised, probably, that you have your entire stable of running backs coming back. I thought that there might be some change there. I thought that there might be some folks at the wide receiver position that are looking for their opportunity to break out somewhere. And maybe they view that opportunity at Florida because it's not as solidified as maybe, some other schools where they would want to transfer to. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't see any turnover or change in the secondary. There's a lot of folks that are grouped together in the secondary position or secondary positions, that you thought that maybe one, maybe two might transfer. So I'll say that I am very surprised. Obviously that this isn't how the season is going to start, but if you're going to say you're very aggressive, and Florida is hosting transfers, they just hosted the transfer from Arizona State at wide receiver. I know they're going to be hosting a defensive lineman from Arizona State in the coming weeks as well. So with all of these folks coming on board, you wonder when the folks are going to start to enter the transfer portal, because you can't take without giving, right? So I will be curious to see if during the summer, we start to see some grad transfers. I think you make a great point that if you are a grad transfer, obviously you can transfer without sitting out a year. I think that that's true within SEC schools as well, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe because of the rules with COVID and giving players an extra year and everything else, that maybe players that, haven't graduated by the end of spring might be able to pick up enough credits during the summer to then be able to transfer in August. I just thought that I would see maybe at least 1, 2, 3, 4 names in there, and we saw 0. So was very surprised.
Here's one. I asked Florida, and I finally got word back on it. I didn't think that DeJuan Black would get a COVID year because he wasn't in the NCAA during 2020. He was in JUCO, community college. Florida's compliance got back to me, and DeJuan Black, so he is a junior this year. So he still has 2 years to play. So someone like that, it's interesting because we haven't really gotten word on. Last year, the seniors on the roster, Rick Wells, Ventrell Miller, guys like that, did not count against Florida's 85. I haven't gotten word if that's also the case. So a guy like Trey Dean, now you're down to 89. Ventrell Miller, you're down to 88. Now Keon Zipper is just a straight senior. A guy like Dante Sanders, now you're down to 7. Like, what's going to be the ruling on the super seniors?
Right.
David Reese just graduated. He's been at Florida for a long time. Has had to battle injuries.
Dude, that's crazy. I can't even believe it's been that long.
David Reese just graduated. Just walked the stage. Shout out to David Reese. You got a degree from the number 5 public university in the country. But then I guess, my numbers here on my scholarship chart could change depending on a ruling or a change in what is the NCAA going to do about, the COVID super seniors in 2022.
Yeah. No. And do we know when the NCAA is going to rule? Yeah. Well,
who knows?
And now they're about to be without a chair or a president here in the next year.
They'll be without a Power 5 in a couple of years too.
I wouldn't be surprised, Nick. I do want to get your thoughts on some of the NIL stuff that's kind of percolated up in the last couple of days. With certainly the NCAA being at the center of an action, but I do wonder if that's something that the players are going to look at and wait for as well, right? That unless they were exceptionally unhappy now, maybe the NCAA allows them either a free opportunity to transfer because of, whatever ruling they have, or, hey, maybe I don't want to leave. Maybe because Billy Napier and the staff is new, there is still an opportunity for me here at the University of Florida. I'm going to stick around, right? Because, we've talked about it and I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, but, the percentage of players that have entered the transfer portal and the percentage of players that have landed at a new school is not a 100%, connection. I think it was 60 or 65% of the players that put their name in the transfer portal ended up somewhere else and picked up, which is certainly a high number, but that does leave a large percentage of students that either didn't get picked up or are no longer on an active college football roster. So certainly you're taking a calculated risk. And if you have that many people entering, certainly depending on, what the number at your position is, the opportunities may be limited as well. So we will certainly be on the lookout for the NCAA's ruling, which I would not imagine is going to be at a time that really benefits schools or players. Nick, I kind of want to get your thoughts. So I saw this topic come up on Twitter the other day about the transfer portal and about how this might affect junior college players. And, now, junior college players used to be, kind of your stop gaps. And, maybe if we're missing a running back or missing a tight end or maybe an offensive tackle, will go. Dan Mullen obviously was big on recruiting JUCO players. Kansas State has historically done that. A lot of schools have certainly relied on the junior college ranks. Do you feel like those students are the ones that are probably getting hurt the most out of this transfer portal?
It's definitely. I hadn't really thought of it, but it's definitely really changed the game completely because, and I'm for the transfer portal. I thought it was crazy that coaches could jump around and move from school to school, no penalty to them, or even get fired, and not only not a penalty to them, but nice big paychecks. nice big, severance checks
Mhm.
to them when they get fired, and then players are just stuck. So I'm for the transfer portal and allowing players to leave and not sit out a year. But I think it's definitely changing recruiting. Look at what Michigan State has done with Mel Tucker. They won the Big Ten last year, I think, with like 20 guys from the portal.
Right.
And it's a way, I think, for new coaches to kind of come in and that is your stopgap that used to be the junior college ranks. And it's, hey, we can get a guy that some guys were hitting the transfer portal after 1 year, and hey, we've got 3 years eligibility. You got grad transfers now where you can have, hey, that's a stopgap. It's 1 year. You're going to come in. You can start for us right away. We've got a sophomore who's just not ready to play yet at your position. So we're going to start the grad transfer, put him in. I think it's definitely changing the way that schools look at junior colleges. There's always going to be programs that will use junior college. Dan Mullen and his staff use junior college extensively at Mississippi State. There's going to be programs like that. Schools like Mississippi State aren't going to be able to compete with the other teams in the transfer portal or for high school kids the way that in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee can. So there's always going to be an avenue for junior college players, but it's definitely the transfer portal and grad transfers have definitely changed how some teams view junior college players.
Yeah, no, like I said, I hadn't really thought of it until somebody mentioned it. And I wish I had the article that I could find, but it basically talked about the number of junior college players being recruited has drastically dropped with with the transfer portal. Now, that doesn't mean that the top of the top still won't get drafted and still get opportunities. Obviously, a guy like DeJuan Black, came to the University of Florida, with the transfer portal still in place. Obviously, he was still connected to the University of Florida, as a commit, but still, the top guys still will, but maybe your fringe, good to great players that might have gone to a school like a Purdue or Western Kentucky or, school, that's maybe a little bit lower level. Maybe they don't have those opportunities because maybe you can go grab that guy from North Carolina, that's in the portal that maybe didn't get the opportunity to shine, at North Carolina and maybe, goes to Western Kentucky and takes that spot from a junior college player. So will be interesting to certainly watch, but you start to think of some of the unintended consequences or some of the externalities here. Nick, do want to give a quick shout out before we move on to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit them, alumnihall.com. Use promo code, I believe it's SG20. It's going to scroll across the screen here, SG20 for 20% off now until June 15th. If you are looking for Nike, if you're looking for replica jerseys, if you're looking for apparel for the University of Florida or about 12 other schools, go visit alumnihall.com. Go visit them in Gainesville. They're right on Archer Road. Use promo code SG20 for 20% off of your order.
Hurts me to say this, Dan. Right by Alumni Hall, there used to be a Lululemon. It was a pop-up shop.
Is it no longer there?
No longer there.
Oh, man.
Left in January. It was tough to see.
I think you have to come visit Tampa now. We've got a couple of Lululemons.
Jacksonville's closer. And Orlando is closer.
Okay.
And Orlando's closer, and they have the Lululemon outlet, which is essentially a store of We Made Too Much, which on a writer's salary is where we shop for Lululemon.
Nick, a quick aside. Did you see that Lululemon is doing buybacks now?
No.
Yeah, so Lululemon is now buying your gently used, I think it's gently used, Lululemon apparel. For shorts, they will pay you $5.
Oh,
they will
what?
They will then they have $5 in store credit, not a $5 bill, just $5 in store credit. Nick, they will then send them off to be laundered, probably deodorized, and then prepared for resale. Nick, guess how much money Lululemon will sell those shorts for?
$40.
You were correct the first time. Nick, they will be selling leggings, which I think could go, or the ABC pants, which go for $120. They will be reselling those for $75. And I believe they will pay you 10 or maybe it's 15. I have to get the numbers right there. So internet, don't get too mad, but they'll give you 10 or $15 and they get the opportunity to resell those same pair of pants that you've already spent $120 on for another $60 on top of their cost.
Well,
So,
I will buy $75 used ABC pants.
yeah, I don't see anything wrong with buying ABC pants. I think when you get into leggings, when you get into some of the shorts with the liner and stuff like that, I may just opt to spend the extra money, or maybe go with a different brand, if that's my price cap. But the ABC pants definitely worth $75. In my opinion, worth $120. But
Yeah. I put shout out to local attorney and friend Kyle Bagan, Bagan and Bagan Attorneys. I put him on to Lululemon.
which one is he?
Is
Is he the
he's the
first
son.
Bagan or the second? Okay, so second.
Second
Okay.
Bagan. Put him on to Lululemon, and that is now everyday work attire. ABC pants in the courtroom. I even think.
Oh, wow.
When cases go to trial, ABC pants in the courtroom.
Wow. Times they are a changing, Nick.
I don't think they sell them anymore, but for a time, Lululemon came out with full suits. They didn't look very tailored. We were thinking about them for one of the weddings I was in back in February, but they kind of looked boxy. But a Lululemon suit is very intriguing.
Nick, I do want to give a shout out to my friend over in Hong Kong. His name's Andy. I ordered 3 jackets from him a few weeks ago. Got the DHL package delivered. So excited to show those to you. But Nick, my advice, no matter how expensive the suit is to always make sure that it's tailored. That's the advice that I give to everybody. Nick, I know that you, as a well-dressed man, obviously know that, but that is my advice. No matter how expensive your suit is or how cheap your suit is, if you get it tailored and tailor well, it can look like a great suit on you. So always tailor your suits. Don't just
not a sponsor, but the actually I'm not going to name the name. The suits that we had for that wedding in February, they only have a couple locations, but those guys were able to go in. It's a $500 suit, 2-piece, but not bad for a suit. Completely tailored, and it's like a stretchy material. Was very good. Mine wasn't. They didn't have a store close to me. I wasn't going to drive down to Miami to the closest store to me. So told them my sizes, tried everything on, got on a Skype call with a representative from the company, told them things I wanted to have fixed, took a tape measure out and did some measurements, sent it back. They sent it to me. Great process, great company, which will remain unnamed until they write a check.
Yeah, just let me know in the chat what it is. There's a lot of great people out there doing great things. If you want Hong Kong Andy's email, just like a bunch of people have already hit me up, I think we're at probably 12 or 13 from all over the country. Feel free to reach out on Twitter. Nick, we're nearing the end of our show. I do want to give a quick update. I do want to shout out Corey Bender for putting this together. Sorry for stealing your content, but the Gators coaching staff is on the trail this week. Patrick Toney is taking the state of Alabama by storm, visiting not just Alabama. This is all over, but Tony Mitchell, Peter Woods, Kelby Collins, all top 100 guys, Hunter Osborne, AJ Harris, Tamarian Parker, Kedrick Falk, all between yesterday and today. Rob Sale visited top 100 quarterback Eli Holstein. Kerry Colbert visited AJ Hoffler, and on 300 defensive end. Darnell Stapleton will be in the greater Tampa Bay area this weekend, visiting Lucas Simmons, who was on campus this past weekend, and also visiting Vishawn Lang. And then William Piegler will be out visiting Bryce Thornton. Cedric Baxter will get a visit, and Xavion Hardy. The Gators do sit with, I believe, 2 commitments right now in the class of 2023. Do expect a lot of announcements to be coming in the next few months as well. But certainly the Gators coaching staff is out there, and they are battling for some of the best players in the country. Nick, before we get a Manscaped ad read, any final thoughts on the Florida Gators athletic department?
Another coach fired.
Oh, yes.
Coach Amato, the women's soccer coach. You're hearing some great reporting by Peyton Titus. Support women in sports, support women journalists, and support student journalists. She is Both. So she did a great job reporting about what was going on inside the women's soccer program. Obviously, difficult to replace Becky Burley. I think it's difficult. I even think it's difficult for a man to coach women's sports. I had a boss one time tell me, I think I was 24 at the time, hey, tell your intern she can't wear that at practice. And I was like, that's a you conversation. That's not a me 24-year-old man telling a 21-year-old student what she can and can't wear. So I think it's difficult. And I'm looking at men and women's sports, and some of the stuff that coaches would tell me when I was growing up, that just doesn't fly anymore. You can't do that. At a school like Florida, where you have a nutritionist, and the nutritionist tells an athlete, you can eat this. This is good. And then the coach looks at you and says, hey, you're fat. You can't eat that. Why are you eating that? It's like, well, the person that the school is paying to tell me what is good and not good for my body at what I'm burning at practice said to eat this. So I think especially now when you're looking at the catcher, I think it was at James Madison recently committing suicide, and where we're looking at and how mental health is kind of at the forefront of things. Some of the stuff that Coach Amato was telling these girls, I think is unacceptable. And it's good. Maybe Scott Strickland is learning from the Cam Newbauer situation to not let this go longer than 1 year. And you were looking at record numbers, alarming numbers of girls, women transferring out of that program. So clearly something was amiss, something was off. So good to be ahead of it and change coaches before anything serious or terrible happens.
It continues.
But it's the fourth coach you fired in a year. I think 3 of which you hired.
Right. Yeah.
The fourth that you've hired.
I think it's the fourth.
Newbauer, White, or I guess White. You didn't fire White.
No, okay. You're right. But still, Mullen, Amato, not
Newbauer.
Yeah. I was going off your list there. So, not ideal, right?
No.
And these are things that, as a boss and as a leader of an organization, you need to be ahead of during the interview process, right? And it becomes a pattern of concern when it continues to happen. You can't control what coaches do, but you can control to make sure that you're not bringing in coaches that have that reputation. And I know that Coach Amato had some baggage dating back to his time. Was it at Arizona State? Arizona. I know he had some baggage there. But it starts to look, the eyes stop staring at coaches like Cam Newbauer and Coach Amato, and they start to look to the leader that hired them, right? And that is a lot of pressure. And these are things that, as a leader of an organization that leads young adults, men and women, that you need to be ahead of, and you need to make sure that these incidences don't happen. And it's unfortunately becoming a recurring theme of not only mistreatment of players, but of also, some backsliding in performance at the University of Florida. Now, I'm not calling for Scott Strickland to be fired, but certainly I am very cautious about these next few hires. It does seem like Kelly Ray Finley, who's taking over the women's basketball program, has a lot of support from those players. And certainly you want to see, the women's soccer team get a new coach that is respectful of them as players, but as people, more importantly. But there's a lot of eyeballs at Scott Strickland right now. There's a lot of things that didn't happen under the previous, regime that are really starting to bubble up. And to me, there's a lot of cause for concern right now. Unfortunately.
I said it back in November or December in November when Dan was fired and they were moving on. And I don't think it changes. Billy Napier, Scott Strickland is tied the rest of his tenure at Florida is tied to Billy Napier. If Billy Napier works out, I think Scott Strickland will be fine. If Billy Napier does not work out, the next athletic director will hire the next football coach. And
so Nick, my thoughts are on that is if Billy Napier's now working out right away, maybe it's 2 of a 5-year, 6-year contract that he's on. If it's not working out in year 2, you're probably not going to fire him again, right?
No.
But do you then have a situation where, and we're just kind of opining here, right? But if Billy Napier's not what Florida fans think he can be and what Scott Strickland has said, he will be, do you see a situation where even if Napier's not let go, that you make a change at the head athletic seat? Or, if Todd Golden isn't working out?
I don't think so, but I think it will get interesting because you're going to have a new president.
Right.
And how much will that new president want to be involved in athletics, and how much do they value athletics? And I think year 2 is too soon to make a judgment call on either Todd Golden or Billy Napier. I also don't think Billy Napier's offense is going to be super exciting for Gator fans that were really excited when Kyle Trask was throwing the ball 50 times a game. Like, that's not going to be what Florida does. So I think it'll be interesting. Winning fixes everything. You could have, listen, Virginia runs one of the most boring basketball offenses or one of the most boring basketball programs because of their zone defense and their pace of play, but they win and their fans are happy to be the most boring while they're winning. So winning fixes everything. I don't think Scott Strickland will be fired in year, if stuff isn't going well in basketball and football in year 2. I think if you get into the end of year 3, year 4, that's to me when, decisions are being made at Florida based on football coaches.
Sure. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Certainly there's a new head coaching search. It seems to be head coaching search season over the last few months in Gainesville. If they're using a recruiting firm, that firm is certainly going to be celebrating potentially in Cabo, maybe this weekend with Dan Mullen and his family and friends who seem to be on a never-ending vacation. Nick, I think that takes us
happy
to
belated birthday to Dan Mullen.
I saw it, 50th, right?
Big 5-0.
Big 5-0.
Have a happy birthday. And if you're in Cabo, it's probably humid. Hopefully you got a Manscaped package. Use code 20SG. Dan?
Yeah, no, I mean that's right. You hit the nail on the head, Nick. I do want to say for the listeners that are still listening, Nick, did you get your Ultra shave kit this weekend?
I did not.
Maybe
it's in the mailbox.
You will be getting it, but it is the Ultra Smooth package that you'll be getting. It comes with a crop exfoliator, which is a gentle scrub, a crop gel, which is a clear lubricating shave gel, not a styling gel, but a shave gel, the crop shaver, and 6 replacement blades, and a travel case. Nick, I actually own 2 of them that have been given to me by Manscaped, and you know what I want to do? I want to give both of them away.
Giveaway.
So we're going to give away 2 of those to listeners. All you have to do is reach out to me on Twitter at DK Thompson, or reach out to the Stadium and Gale account and say, hey, I'll take it. It will be completely free. I'll just need your address. First 2 people that do that will get that sent to them this week. So if you are looking for an ultra smooth package, don't need any more details. Just need you to hit my DMs with your address, and I will get those in the mail for you. Nick, a good show, man. It was great chatting with you. Great hanging out. Do you have song of the week, or is it my song of the week?
I was last week. I can definitely go again. I put Blast on last week.
You did put BLXST. Yeah. So, Nick, I want to give a quick spin of the new Whiskey Myers song. Big Whiskey Myers fan. I'm actually going to see them again in August with our good friend Paul Salmons, friend of the show. But they have a new song called Whole World Gone Crazy. by Whiskey Myers, Country Rock. This one is a little bit different. I think everybody will like it. So Whiskey Myers, Whole World Gone Crazy. Nick, I will see you at the same corner and same time next week.
Shout out to Xfinity. Silk will be back next week.
Yeah, missed our guy this week. Missed our guy, but back and better than ever next week. We'll see you, boys.